you turn on your video, it'd probably work a lot better.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. I have curlers in.
Actually, my Juve light is off now. I put my underwear back on, so it's not a big a deal.
Hello.
Okay, so Skype quick tip. If someone else initiates the call and you're a participant, sometimes the other guest may join before you realize they've joined. So maybe don't say anything embarrassing, just letting you know. Also, after we quit recording, Oura shared a code with us to give you $50 off if you want an Oura ring. Just use the code WildHealth50 for $50 off. Now, how that code works is that we get $30 if you use it. We don't want to have any conflicts, so we asked them if we could just give that extra $30 to you as well, but it doesn't work that way. So if you order an Oura ring with the code, send us a message on Facebook or Instagram at WildHealthMD and tell us what your favorite charity is. We want to donate the $30 for that charity. Or if you don't message us, we'll just pick one. It may seem weird for us to mention this, but we take conflicts very seriously and we want to avoid any conflicts with products that we talk about on the podcast.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks.
Excellent.
Are we using video?
If you want to. I've got video on just because, I don't know. I figured it's easier sometimes to see when people want to say something if you've got the video on, but we can turn it off if you'd like. If you don't have to look at my face.
Yeah. It's early morning and it's no natural light here.
There's no natural light here either.
Yeah.
Why don't we turn it off? Because I really don't want to have to look at Matt or Jody.
Yeah, technically, Pateri, it's at midnight here. I've got 4 kids. I'm in my sauna in my closet because I don't want to wake anybody up. So we'll definitely keep my video off.
Yeah, sorry. The timing is not optimal.
We're having to work for it a little bit this time, but that's all right. That's at least we're making it happen. So it's nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this with us.
Thank you. Great to meet you too.
Hey there, I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Jody. The Wild Health Podcast is our quest into human performance, longevity, and personalized medicine. Together, along with experts in these fields, we'll learn how to live longer, better, and become smarter and stronger. We'll do the deep dive into the research and hard work of putting it all together, and you reap the benefits.
So welcome everyone to the Wild Health Podcast. We're stoked today to have with us the co-founder and chief information officer of a wearable that I personally use, my wife uses, I know Matt and Jody both use, and honestly, we often recommend to our patients. And that's Pateri Lepela, who comes to us from Finland, where it's 7 a.m. And ironically, for a sleep-related podcast, Matt and Jody are currently up at midnight right now recording this to get this done. So welcome, Pateri. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking with us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
I thought maybe we could.
Yes, I was just going to say it's pretty ironic that I'm probably going to have my worst sleep score of the week for my Oura ring because this podcast. I was thinking. Mike said he wears this and recommends it to some patients. I've probably worn 100 different wearable devices over the years trying to track data and get as much as I can. And this is literally the only device that I'm wearing right now and that is kind of stuck for me and that I'm wearing long term. It's a really great device, and we actually recommend this to all of our patients and try to get them to wear this as much as possible because it's sleep. There's just very few things that can just drive health as much as sleep, and we can't really fix it if we don't know what's wrong. So we really love seeing the data from our patients and being able to help them improve their sleep and improve their life.
And I think I need to say this right now before we get too far into this. This is going to sound like a commercial, but we take no money from Oura Ring, and we have no ownership in Oura Ring. So it's just because Matt and I like this thing so much is why it's going to sound like the Oura Ring's paying us or something, but we promise they're not. So let's start, Pateri, if you don't mind. I'm really curious because you're the co-founder, one of the co-founders of Oura Ring. I'm curious of what personally led you and your co-founder to create the Oura Ring and decide to put your time into this idea.
Yes. first of all, what we wanted to create was something that would help people live through their real potential. And that means that we wanted to develop something. At that time, we didn't know what it would be, but something that would help people understand how their body is responding to their lifestyle. So your daily choices and your longer term choices, that what you do in your life, how they are mirrored by your body. So we wanted to make this kind of visible to people, so that it would empower them to do better choices, and those kind of choices that would serve them better. So that was one of the drivers. And then I have background in developing IT systems for healthcare, for example, and for chronic diseases, prevention and management. And there I had a great opportunity to get to know the best experts in that context. And I got pretty intrigued of the fact that chronic or prolonged stress is one of the big drivers for the onset of any kind of a chronic disease. And also what I found out is that the healthcare system is not doing basically anything for the prevention and helping individuals to understand that what are the drivers behind the onset of chronic disease. And I saw that as a very big problem, because diabetes, it's a huge problem, but pre-diabetics is even bigger a problem. But there are so many people in the world that they don't even know that they have diabetes, and they are suffering of the symptoms, and they don't know what to do. So that was another driver for developing this solution. And of course, since we come from Oulu, from Finland, this is the city of Polar Electro, the pioneer of heart rate monitoring. They had their first wireless heart rate monitoring device in 1977. So they've been pioneering this area of understanding human physiology from the kind of performance and recovery perspective. And so we are we have inherited that part. It's part of the DNA of the company, because our chief scientist, Hannu Kinnunen, used to be working for Polar for almost 18 years. And he was developing all the algorithms. So if you buy any Polar product today, the algorithms in the product have been developed by Hannu Kinnunen. So that's one of the things that we kind of inherited. And also other area was that this city is kind of Silicon Valley of Finland, in the sense that it is the origin for many of the technological innovations, like Nokia mobile phones, because that was very big in early days, and so on. So combining the science and technology with Scandinavian design led us to this kind of a product. Sorry for a long explanation, but there are plenty of aspects in the product that they have their own stories.
No, that's great. I mean, I noticed, I guess I was on the wait list for this thing for easily 6 months before I finally got it. And then once I got it, I was just sort of amazed at how long the battery would last. I mean, I could basically wear this thing for 7 days continuously before I have to stick it on the charger and charge it. And I'm just a little bit taken aback by how much it's capable of doing, and with such little power. What's the technology? And I mean, I know you can't go into specific details or anything, but what's the technology inside of this thing that allows it to do so much and be yet so small?
Yeah, so that requires, again, quite a long answer, because there are plenty of different aspects that makes it possible that the power management is so powerful. So first of all, is that on the palm side of it, on its finger, we have two arteries, and we can access those arteries by using certain infrared wavelengths very effectively. So we get 50 to 100 times stronger pulse wave signal from the finger compared to the wrist, for example. And when you know what you are actually measuring, and also when you make it context sensitive, it starts from the use case, what we've been driving from the very beginning. So we wanted to develop a solution to understand how you recover from daily mental and physical strain. And in that context, the most important time for the measurement is nighttime. So it's not only sleep quality measurement, but also measuring all the body responses during the night. So we wanted to, and we had to develop the technology so that we get a really accurate reading of your pulse waveform, and also body temperature variation, and all the movements with the 3D accelerometer and gyroscope and so on. And at the same time, the product had to be very comfortable to wear, so that it doesn't disturb the user at all. Yeah.
So I assumed that the ring design was just for comfort and just to make it kind of invisible and as small as possible. But are you saying that you actually get better measurements from the finger than you would the wrist, and that was part of the design choice?
Yes, that was the driver for us to go to finger, because as you know, pulse oximeters are used in hospitals to measure oxygen saturation and pulse waveform as well. So when we started developing the product, of course, we had long experience in using polar heart rate monitors. So heart rate belt is definitely one of the best to get very accurate signal, but it is not comfortable to wear 24/7 for long periods of time. I have painful experience doing that myself. So you can't wear it for several weeks without getting burns on your chest.
Yeah, I've tried to wear one of those just for a long bike ride before, and it definitely, you can start to feel it after just a few hours. So this is definitely a great leap.
Yes. So we had to really find a place where to get both accurate signal, but the best possible wearing comfort, and that led us to develop software on a pulse oximeter, and we noticed that we get pretty good signal from finger, but we got even better when we kind of get to the innovation. Why we don't make it as a ring? Because ring is one of the oldest wearables in the world. Rings have been used hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years by humans. So we thought that, people get used to ring pretty quickly. So if we can make it happen that we can get to the, let's say, wedding band size and then fit all the technology there, that would be the perfect combination. And that was the vision that we had already 5 to 6 years ago. And now we are there.
Yeah, and it is super comfortable. It's easy to wear, and for me, it replaces my wedding ring, and anything that I don't have to remember extra to put on in the morning or anything. It's just the compliance is just much better. The big question for me though that I had initially, and I still have, is it's comfortable. It makes sense. The design is great, but how accurate is it? It seems really accurate, but it's not like I'm actually comparing this to sleep lab data that I'm getting on myself at the same time. So could you speak to that? Do you all have studies showing how accurate and how close it is to actual sleep study? Like if you go to an actual sleep lab and it costs several $1,000s?
Yeah. So when we started developing the solution 5-6 years ago, it's our part of our DNA to do the science and willing to do the best possible solution. And part of that is validating all the raw signals and also the derived signals against the best golden standards that are being used for tens of years or so. So first of all, we have validated all the raw signals, and I'm happy to tell you that the heart rate and HRV, they are pretty close to ECG level accuracy. And we have separate papers of that, and we've been investigating this from the very beginning and do continuous validation that how we can improve it and how well it works for different people, starting from kids to very let's say older people as well, and that is one of the drivers. And then, for example, this body temperature measurement, we have 3 temperature sensors in the ring, and we have validated it against thermometer, so measuring your body temperature under your tongue, and it is 0.05 centigrade resolution that we get. Between the nights, we get the body temperature derived from this nocturnal skin temperature. So in the morning hours, depending on your chronotype, around 4:30 in the morning, your body reaches the lowest body temperature, and then your skin temperature and core body temperature are the same. So that's why we can get between the nights, we can get really accurate reading of that. And then for calorie calculations and for activities and so on, we have used this the mask that you put on your face when you measure the actual the oxygen that you use, so we can really get to the calories that are consumed by the body during the exercise. So we do this kind of a continuous work of the raw signals and also the derived signals. And sleep quality is one of the most important things. And actually, Stanford Research Institute bought 2 rings from our Kickstarter campaign in 2015. So when we released our first generation ring, which was bigger ring, but it was the first of the kind in the marketplace. And we didn't know, but Stanford Research Institute, they bought 2 rings. And we have 8 different sizes, but they just bought 2 different sizes. And they did an independent study of over 40 young adults. And the results were amazing for them, because this was the first wearable device that they actually wanted to really inspect that is it possible to get to close to the level of sleep lab in the sleep staging and sleep analysis.
And by that study,
I would love to link to that study, and if you could share that study with us, I'd like to see that too, because if it is close to as accurate, I was just having a conversation with one of my patients just a few days ago who was worried that he had sleep apnea, and he was talking, and I asked him if he should get a sleep study, and I said, well, yes, but at the same time, if this Oura Ring, the data is close enough, then honestly, I would rather see how you're sleeping at home instead of in an artificial lab. So if the data is similar, my bias would actually be to look at the Oura more than the sleep study, just because you're in your natural environment. So I would love to see that study if you didn't mind sharing that with us.
Yes, actually, I already shared the presentation slide deck to you. I hope you got it. And there you can find links to exact study by Stanford Research Institute. So there's the link to the study there as well. And also there are other links to this heart rate and heart rate variability validation and so on. So you should have a link for that. It's a Dropbox link to that slide set. But in any case, that's exactly the reason that why we wanted to develop this, so that we are not to replace the sleep study in the sleep lab, but this is for measuring the same things and actually much more than sleep lab measurement at your home. So when you're sleeping on your own bed, and also kind of having the longitudinal aspect of variations that what may happen. So all the specialists of sleep, they understand and they know that in the sleep lab people don't sleep very well because of all the wires, and also it's a lab environment and so on. So it's not optimal for that, and it's also a one night snapshot. And there are specific instructions that you need to follow to prepare for that. So it's not your normal daily life context anymore. And we see that we need to, if we want to improve sleep, we should really understand that, okay, how well you sleep and what are the possible contributors that are affecting your sleep quality at your home in your normal daily life context.
Yeah, Mike and I frequently text back and forth with each other about our sleep scores and what we did exactly the night before. This is a beautiful way to run individualized tests on yourself every night. Have a different kind of bedtime routine, try different supplements, and then see how it responds. Which obviously, with a $3,000 to $5,000 sleep test, you can't do, but you can do with this device. For me, though, as well, just in my life right now, I have a young baby that's waking up at night, crying quite frequently. So my scores are always horrible. But one thing that's really useful for me is that when I get up in the morning, I see a readiness score, and I look at my HRV, because I want to work out. I'm working out most days, but if my sleep is too bad, I actually use this device to help me figure out if I need to take it a little easier the next day, or if I can actually work out as hard or harder. A technical question I had for you, though, is the HRV, the heart rate variability data, is not actually used in the readiness score. That was kind of counterintuitive to me, and I kind of look at both of those to help me gauge what I do throughout the day. Why is that not included in your score?
Basically, when we do the sleep assessment, there are 11 different features, as we call them, and few of them come from pulse waveform, for example, pulse amplitude variation, but also at least 3 of them are derived from the interbeat interval, the time between the heartbeats, the HRV related characteristics of the pulse waveform. So from that perspective, it is included. But from the recovery perspective, we actually wanted to separate it from the readiness score in the beginning, because as you know, different indicators, like if we take heart rate, body temperature, breathing rate, heart rate variation, and some other biological signals, biophysiological signals, they kind of live their own life. So they have their own pace, that how quickly they reflect the changes that are happening in your body. So we wanted to make it a little bit more visible that okay, what is really contributing to your readiness today? And the readiness score, as you know, it includes sleep-related metrics and activity-related metrics for the last 2 weeks, so short-term and long-term, and also some body responses. And there, one of the very important drivers is recovery index, and it comes actually from the heart rate. So what time of the night you reach the lowest heart rate during your sleep. And that is an important moment, because the rest of the night after the lowest heart rate is like recharging your body. So we will be making it even more visible in future, and actually we are working on this readiness score, and potentially we will include HRV there, or some of the characteristics of HRV. Now when we have already gathered data from our users from more than 100 countries for several years, so now we have lots of data that we can see the relevance. And also we have ideas of how we could better visualize those things, because as you understand, there are so many data points and so many interesting factors there. But how to fit all of them to the small screen of the mobile phone, that is the continuous challenge. That how to visualize and also how to make it actionable and understandable to all different kind of users. Long answer.
Yeah. No, that's great. Now, when I wake up, I'm looking at the readiness score. I'm looking at the HRV, and then also just the cycles in general and how much deep sleep and REM sleep I got. How does the Ring actually measure the sleep cycles? I mean, I'm thinking intuitively, just moving around, how active I am. But tell me exactly how it measures those cycles, because some other sleep trackers I've seen doesn't give the depth. It'll only just say you're sleeping light or deep. But I really like all the different stages, and I can actually see the sleep architecture with the Oura Ring. How does it calculate that?
Yes, so there are those 11 features, as I said, and the most important features come from the pulse waveform. So actually from there we get the respiration rate, but one of the very important ones is this pulse amplitude variation, which is modulated by your breathing rate and also blood pressure variation. So, and in different sleep stages, all those characteristics have their specific role. They indicate through the autonomic nervous system and central nervous system. They continuously communicate, as you know, as doctors. So those variations, what is happening with your brain and your autonomic nervous system, the patterns of this pulse waveform, and especially this amplitude variation, they are different in different sleep stages. And also your movements, like in the deep sleep, there are no movements, but during REM sleep there are movements, and their frequency changes all the time. And also pulse and blood pressure, they change a lot during REM sleep, and your breathing rate changes as well. And also body temperature measurement is used to measure your sleep onset and also detecting the sleep, the bedtime. So when you go to bed, when you wake up, because it's also very much connected to all the hormonal interplay that is happening. So as you know that when melatonin secretion starts, then your periphery starts to warm up. And it starts to prepare you for the sleep. So the blood vessels kind of open up in the periphery so that the core body temperature can be pressed to the periphery, and your body is prepared for the sleep. So all those different characteristics are measured. Like pulse waveform is measured in 250 hertz resolution, which is 250 samples per second. So actually the Ring draws the whole pulse waveform, all the small characteristics there in all dimensions. And then from there we can derive lots of insights, and only a fraction of those insights are in the product currently. We are doing continuous research with different like sleep laboratories and university hospitals. And now we are trying to find the connection between the sleep stages and getting into the more understanding of the restorativeness of sleep. So there are plenty of things that kind of reflect different sleep stages. But also in addition to that, what is not measured in the sleep lab is the autonomic nervous system responses, and those we can derive from the pulse waveform signal from the periphery of the body. So from ECG, it's not that easy to derive those. You can't get this pulse amplitude variation, and those different variations there you can get from the pulse waveform. So therefore, it is pretty interesting to have a very accurate product to measure those kind of vital signs that hasn't been possible before.
Since there's a ton of data coming in now that's allowing a little more analysis of these different sleep factors, have you seen a few definite things that help get a little more deep and REM sleep?
Yes. First of all, as you very well know, we all humans, we are very unique, basically in all the aspects, starting from genomics, but also in addition to that, our lifestyles are different. Life situations change all the time. So there's no one size fits all in this. And also like improving your sleep. And for example, in the context of deep sleep, it's also unique for each one of us that how much we need, how much our body needs that. And also what you can do, what affects that. And one of the most important things, what we have found out after having millions of nights from our users is the consistency. So the bedtime and wake up time consistency is one of the very big drivers on the sleep quality and how much deep sleep, REM sleep you can get. Because as you know, the intrinsic memory of the body also. So as an example of that, if you have your lunch at 12 on Monday, 12 on Tuesday, 12 on Wednesday, 12 on Thursday. So what do you think your body is preparing for 11:30 on Friday? So it's already preparing all the engine and everything for your digestion system to prepare for the lunch. So this kind of intrinsic memory helps prepare your body on something that is happening in your physiology and biology. So in that sense, the consistency plays a very, very important role. And we have done studies with our users where we can clearly see that those who are living in continuous social jet lag, so that meaning that they wake up much later during the weekend and also go to sleep much later during the weekend than during the weeks. And we can see that their resting heart rate, for example, is continuously higher over the time compared to those who are not living in the social jet lag.
Well, luckily, every night between midnight and 1, I'm talking to my friends in Finland, so I've got the consistent down. So good.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the shift work that you're pulling off as well.
Yeah, you can't stop now.
Yeah. Yes, and also, of course, one important thing is the chronotype. So if we go deeper into the biology of us, so the internal clock of us human beings, the master clock, that it has huge effect also. That okay, when your body is kind of in the, let's say, in the phase that you can get your deepest sleep and so on. And there is pretty big difference if we take, for example, the optimal bedtime for different people. So if you are early morning person like I am, or if you're a late evening person, there can be several hours of difference in the optimal bedtime, and also because of that, in the meal times and the best possible exercise times and so on. So all these are very unique for each one of us, and therefore it is good to have a product that is a companion for you, kind of reflecting for you all the time that, okay, how you should adjust your schedules to get best possible sleep.
You know, one of the most interesting things about the Oura Ring for me is that it doesn't actually give you better sleep. It just gives you data that you can use to potentially, improve your sleep and improve your readiness.
Yes.
One thing that's very interesting from my perspective, just on a personal level, is that I'm a shift worker. I still work shifts in the emergency department. Because of that, I work a lot of swing shifts and a lot of overnight shifts. And I've been doing this for 10, 12 years. And I've been constantly trying to figure out how to sleep best. And I think that's one reason the Oura Ring is so interesting for me, is trying to, dial in everything as perfectly as I can so that I have less effect from that shift work. Cause as we know, something like 30% of the world work shifts, and it increases your risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, metabolic resistance, so many terrible things. I'm interested if it would be really interesting to see. I know that Oura Ring is working on some sort of sleep coaching to some degree, because every once in a while my app will tell me that I need to go to sleep. Have you guys considered the possibility of addressing this specific difficulty of shift workers or people who have a sort of a non-regular schedule, and sort of a way to help them improve their own sleep in some sort of functional manner?
Yes, actually, that is one of the things that we are doing research all the time, so that we would really want to understand the biological and physiological factors behind, as you already explained, that what this kind of shift work and the kind of continuous change your sleep time is how it's affecting your body, switching back and forth in the sleep times. So that is something that there's not that much research available where to compare, but we are trying to get those, let's say, understand the biosignals, and also through the different biosignals we measure, we try to find correlations between different things in the physiology and biology to pretty understand that. And it's not an easy task because, as we know that if we change the time zone, our body adapts around 1 hour in 24 hours into a new time zone. So these kind of changes in the body are taking time, so it cannot quickly adapt to new times. So it's pretty hard to say what is optimal. That in case of shift work, should you actually sleep in multiple kind of shifts or one longer period, or how it should be, and also that how you can compensate that with different kind of exercises like meditation or relaxing or and also what kind of physical exercises you should do and when, and what you should eat and when.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you say that. It might be interesting to collect a bit more data from people through the app, maybe regarding things like, for example, when they eat and what they eat, because I know that, our diet can play a role in circadian rhythm and melatonin release. And that would be really interesting.
Yes, that's exactly. So we are working on kind of tagging and noting these kind of things in the app as well, because if you eat something that has tryptophan, for example, in the evening for the melatonin secretion, and also wearing the blue light blockers and different things that people can do to relax before going to sleep, and also would be intriguing to do a study to inspect different kind of white noise or this kind of different applications that you can use during the sleep or when preparing for the sleep. Myself, I've been using this kind of binaural beats for the last 13, 14 years when I go to sleep.
Yeah, I remember trying this out like 15 years ago or so. I remember trying this out. That's interesting.
Yes.
I assume you wear the ring every day. I'm curious, what's been the biggest change for you personally, based on your Oura Ring data?
Yes, so I have been using actually 2 rings all the time since the very beginning of the first prototypes, because we do continuous development. So I have different versions of the software in the rings, and I do continuous comparison to between them and try to understand and go deeper. So there are plenty of findings for myself, like understanding my biology. I mean, circadian alignment and chronotype has been one of the biggest things, so that I can really understand that, okay, who I am as a human being because of this. So that I'm an early morning person, and therefore I need to stick a consistent routine. So optimizing my bedtime and also wake up time, so that I can perform at my best. And also kind of understanding of the I've been trying different kind of like intermittent fasting and that kind of stuff, and I have found out that, okay, what applies to me, so that when I should have the longer fast time in my 24 hours, what's the best, and also from the, let's say, from the diet system perspective, but also the hormonal balance perspective, and also how should I optimize my exercises, the timing and intensity of them during the day. So actually, my morning exercise is medical Qigong that I've been doing since, let's say, last 15 years every morning. And I can see and feel the effect of that when I do it first thing in the morning when I wake up. And then compared to the different kind of exercises, I've been doing martial arts since I was 13. Now I'm 50. And the last 10 years I haven't done it that much, but changing to more, if I have very hectic days and lots of load, both mental and physical, and mostly mental load, working on this product. So I've been, let's say, doing much more low intensity, and I also have found how effective actually walking is, and especially several hours before sleep, just walking in nature, how really effective it is from overall, let's say, stress perspective, and also preparing for good sleep and so on. And one of the things is blue light blockers. I found it very useful for me to use blue light blockers a couple of hours before going to sleep.
Yeah, it's really great, and it's so powerful to hear you talk about all those insights that you've gained. I love how when Jody talked about REM and deep sleep, you were talking about how it really is personalized, and we can give recommendations all day as to what the studies show are going to help sleep, but it really is about that individual person. So I just really want to thank you for developing this device. We're with Wild Health at our clinics, we're trying to practice precision medicine for that one individual in front of us. And so at their first appointment, we're sending off their genetics, their lab tests, their microbiome tests, and I'm hitting order on an Oura Ring, because I honestly don't know how to really give deep, precise, personalized advice on health if I don't have some good sleep data and see how everything that we're doing, all the interventions we're taking, how that affects sleep, because sleep affects everything else. So it's just such a great device. And is there, what's coming down the pipe? I know from generation 1 to generation 2, there were some big improvements. Are there some other things on the horizon that you'd be able to share with us?
Yes, there are plenty of things that we are working on, and they are all related to this, how we could help personalize the feedback and personalize the insights for each individual. in the context of sleep improvement and also readiness improvement, how they should adjust their daily schedules or when they exercise, how intensive exercises they do, what kind of exercises they do, and also how mindfulness and different kind of relaxing exercises, that kind of things, how they are reflected by your body and sleep quality, and so I think this feedback loop that you also mentioned is one of the most important things that kind of if we take one individual and you continuously measure with the ring, this interpersonal variance is something very, very intriguing, that to see the changes in the body responses over the longer period of time, and building the causal relationships between different things in your life, and how they affect and when you can see those effects. And one of the very, let's say, intriguing areas is this kind of emotional well-being related things, that how your emotions are affecting your sleep. So when you go to sleep, what is your emotional state? When you wake up, what's your emotional state? So what we have found out, it has a huge effect on how restful sleep you get, depending on what kind of emotional state you go to sleep. Therefore, there are different kind of exercises there as well, what you can do to be grateful of your life and so on, and then get rid of those stressors before you go to sleep. So we humans are pretty complex. so there are plenty of things that affect us mentally, physically, cognitively, and health and performance as aspects are something that it is there's so much we can learn, and we can go deeper and deeper into the different aspects of sleep and recovery. And also we are kind of expanding the thinking of rest and load, so that it's not only during sleep time when we have resting moments, recovering moments, or even recovering exercises that we can do. So we are kind of building this kind of a 24/7 model, that okay, when it would be optimal for you to take naps, or do your meditation, or do just walk outside in the nature, and then reflect back to you that what kind of effect this had on your readiness, and what was the effect to your next night's sleep, and then build this kind of longer term causal relationships between things.
Yeah, it seems almost endless the number of sort of N of one studies you could do with all of this data, in terms of like the different things you can change in your life and see how that affects your readiness and your sleep and your sleep cycle. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the app be a little bit more even interactive with every other part of my day, so that I can give it more data and it can give me more feedback about how I can improve myself, I guess, as a person.
And if you have the consent from your patients, you can view their data remotely in the cloud and actually get even into the more details. So that is something that what we are willing to develop further, so that it would serve as a platform, specialists and professionals like you, to go deeper and also to serve your clients in a very personalized way.
Yeah, we're using that actually. We invite our patients who have the Oura Ring, and it's just really nice to be able to log in, not have them have to push you any data, send a screenshot or anything of their data. You just see it, and you can follow up with them and figure out why their heart rate variability is a lot lower than it should be. Are they getting sick? You can give them a heads up on issues that you may see that they may not realize. So that's a really nice feature. We definitely like that.
Well, Petteri,
and all the feedback is welcome. So we are willing to develop it further, so that it really serves you as a tool to help your clients.
Well, I know you probably don't have a lot more time, and my sleep score is getting worse and worse as we talk now that it's 1 a.m. in the morning here. Is there anything else that you think is really important? You've given us a lot of really incredible information.
I think we have covered already a lot. Of course, there would be plenty of things to talk, but I'm happy to continue from this whenever you are available. So we can go deeper into the specific areas of circadian alignment or chronotype or that kind of stuff.
That's a great idea. And I think we could actually ask our listeners for some more questions as well, because we have more, and we're going to be coming up with more as we're using this device even more. So if you do have questions for us on Instagram, we're at Wild Health MD, or you can email us, Matt, Mike, or Jody, either any of us at wildhealthpodcast.com. And then, we would love to get around too with you at some point as you have more features that you're rolling out or just more data to share. This is something that we're all fascinated with and just has such a big effect on our health. We'd love to talk to you more about it later.
Happy to do so.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, and have a good sleep.
We hope you like listening to the podcast as much as we like making it. If you think it's valuable, share it with somebody. Send it to someone you think would really benefit and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Those reviews really, really help us out. Find us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at WildHealthMD. If you didn't like, well, why are you still listening? Email us and let us know what we can do better. But the best way you can thank us for our time is to leave a review and share. Until next time.